Everybody, Kyle Bossman here, looking a little ghastly with tonight's lighting. This is why normally I like to do this during the day with the sun beaming in on me, but it's whatever. We are here, wanted to make a short video, wanted to see if this microphone improves anything. Let me know. Let me know if this is better or worse than usual. Wanted to make a video about the Nintendo Switch. And at this point, yeah, there's a lot of stuff about the Nintendo Switch out there. There is enough negativity, right? You don't need more hot takes on the Nintendo Switch, but I did want to talk about it. And the way I think I want to talk about the Nintendo Switch is to talk about the power of unreleased games. The power of games that haven't come out yet. When the Switch had its initial reveal, lots of views, right? Lots of positive enthusiasm, thumbs up. Everybody was sold on this product. It was a very good video. And now, after last week's Nintendo Switch presentation, things feel different because within the first minutes of that presentation, Nintendo announced that the Nintendo Switch costs $299.99. And I don't think that when people watched that video in September and gave it all those thumbs ups and views, I don't think they saw a $299 product. And so for the rest of that presentation, it's up to Nintendo to prove, to add value onto this thing, to show that it is worth $300. And what they started with, I probably misguided, is showing little things that the Joy-Con controllers have motion controls and that it's got HD rumble and this little IR camera that can sense between rock, paper, and scissors. Those are things that were created, I think, to add value. That wasn't the initial vision of what the Switch could be. It wasn't, hey, let's make a console with HD rumble. It was, what little things can we add onto this thing to add value, to make this $299? Look, let's get us closer to wanting this thing. And so obviously, I don't think that had a great impact. I don't think it had as much of an impact as perhaps Nintendo expected it to. And then, of course, it's up to the games to add value onto this thing. And the analogy, the best analogy, which I realize isn't good, that I have for unannounced games is that the console makers are witches who want us to come into their gingerbread houses, and the way they do that is just plopping down a little path of gumdrops for us. And we come and we eat a gumdrop and it tastes good, and we move on to the next gumdrop and we taste that and that's good. And then we see in front of us a whole path of gumdrops, right? If we didn't see a path, we'd get lost and then find our ways to some other path in the forest, right? There's multiple witches trying to get us into their gingerbread houses. And so Nintendo didn't really leave a strong path of gumdrops, right? There's two huge ones. There's Zelda, the Breath of the Wild, and there is Super Mario Odyssey further ahead. Just big old gumdrops that you can barely lift with two hands. But that's kind of it. And it's just strange to be in this position where if we're imagining ourselves now eating that big old Super Mario Odyssey gumdrop, we don't know what's after it. And the reason also why I wanted to talk about unreleased games with the Switch is also to tie in the recent news about Scalebound, that Scalebound has been canceled. And if you might remember the first ever video I shot in my kitchen, I was talking about big whoops and little whoops, and at that moment talked about the cancellation of Fable Legends, which was a big whoop. And now we look at Scalebound, I think also a big whoop. If you look at it isolated, not a big deal, but if you look at it as a part of this whole story, it does say something. Because when that game was announced, when it was announced as an unreleased game, right? It's a currency. Unreleased games are currency. In that E3 when it was announced, it's like, look at all of these games that we have. Not necessarily advertisements for the game, trying to increase that particular game's sales, but these announcements were made to increase the Xbox One sales, to make everybody feel better about the Xbox One. And so when those gumdrops are plucked off the road, there are fewer left. And I know this is a scummy thing to say, but sometimes an unreleased game is more powerful than a released game. In this instance, ReCore. I think ReCore had more power, was better for Microsoft as an unreleased game than it is now as a released game. And I realize that's a scumbag thing to say, but I believe that's the truth. I believe that more people are excited about it before it's launched than are now today. And that's the power of that gumdrops. We love things like that. And I want to look at Sony too, because I think that Sony is the best and worst at this. Best in that they're the best gumdrop layers in the world. We right now, we're looking forward to 3 years worth of Sony games, right? And they keep that up perpetually. As we keep going down the road and need more gumdrops, they just keep putting them down, leading us faster and faster into their gingerbread house. They're the worst at it because it is inherently evil, right? There is no value in a game that isn't out yet. When I say, yeah, let's add value to our consoles by making more unannounced games, it's not giving us a thing. It's not giving us anything other than hope and excitement, which is in a weird way adding value. It, to us, helps us rationalize the expense. So anyway, back to Sony and Microsoft. A really good way to show you the difference between their two visions, the way that they see themselves, is to look at how they advertise and their primary advertisements of last year, of the end of last year, the holiday season, the fall of 2016. Microsoft had this ad that aired during basketball and football, bragging about the hardware of the Xbox One. They came out and saying, this is the only place for HD Blu-ray, Ultra Blu-ray, excuse me. Meanwhile, Sony has this weird king, and he's hanging out in the world of Horizon, which isn't out until 2017. And then back over to the Xbox commercial. It's the only place for HD 4K streaming. And then back over to Sony and says, hey, wouldn't it be cool to hang out with Kratos? And then back to Microsoft, who says, and if you haven't been following that this is one complete sentence, this is also the only place for HDR gaming. And then back to Sony's like, someday Spider-Man's gonna be here. That's so crazy. That juxtaposition is so different. Who knows when Spider-Man will be a game on a Sony platform? They didn't care. They didn't care. They were selling the experience of PlayStation, right? More than they were selling any actual games or any actual hardware. On the year where they released a console that's all about hardware, that the PlayStation 4 Pro is all about, hey, you want it a little bit nicer? Buy this product. Xbox One S, selling the hardware over the games, strange. Strange, but they both worked, right? Obviously, worldwide, Sony's still winning by a large margin, but in the US, it's extremely close. Both of those marketing campaigns worked. Both of that idea of we'll sell a console on unreleased games versus we'll sell a console on the merits of itself. They both worked. They both worked on people. People were glad to buy both of those products. And so it's hard for me to say somebody's doing it wrong. You know, I want to, looking forward to E3, I want to say, Microsoft, maybe announce more games, put more gumdrops down. And to Sony, I'd say, you know what, you have plenty of gumdrops on them. Let's just focus on those this year. And to Nintendo, we say, you need more gumdrops. You need a lot more. Because right now, what you've shown looks cheap. When you bring out Suda51 to say, hey, I'm about to start working on a game for real that will star Travis Touchdown, but I don't know what it is. That does not add value to your console. I know that's the attempt. I know that's why you brought him out there, but it doesn't work. It doesn't bring us any closer to $299. When Sega brings out Toshihiro Nagoshi and is just saying, yeah, Sega likes what we see in the Switch. We really do. We'll make some games. We'll put some games. That doesn't add value. That doesn't work. That doesn't make us feel better about spending $300 on your console. Just, that's not that kind of unreleased game. Because I think the sad fact is, and I recognize this is a sad fact, when Metroid is announced, and even if it doesn't come out for another year, when we see whatever retro is working out, and even if that doesn't come out for another year, we will feel better about spending $300 on the Switch. I know it's not a real value, I know it's not tangible, but it just works like that. Human brains work like that. We like games that haven't come out yet. We like to dream, we like to be excited, we like to be hyped. And video games allow us to do that. Video game manufacturers enable us when they put out those trailers. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't have an answer to this. Obviously, we like to say you announced your games too soon, but we had a fun time being excited about those games. It's strange. Obviously, you shouldn't cancel it, right? We do have a great time being excited about those games, but in a case of something like Scalebound that it's revoked, so, those gumdrops are nasty now. Now we're thinking about those gumdrops. It's like, oh, you're going to take those gumdrops away, you weird witch? I'm not going to your gingerbread house. Weird analogy. Why does he do it? Anyway, that's the video for this week. The next video I upload to this channel will probably be something weird. I think I'm going to try something that's not me talking straight to you about video games. We'll see. Might be some just doofy video. I don't know, I want to do doofy videos, but also let me know if this worked. I realize the lighting is weird. I realize my forehead is blown out. I'm going to do what I can to fix that. That's it. Okay, so I am on Twitter at Kyle Bossman, and I'll be back here again, and I hope to see you then. Thanks for watching. Hey everybody, I don't really have a comedic bonus bit for you this week because I mean, I did have an idea, and I was rehearsing it, and it was hilarious to make fun of the translator at the Nintendo presentation, but that is just strictly mean. That is strictly mockery of someone who has a very hard job and had to do it live, so obviously it wasn't worth it. So I wanted to just share something with you that I thought was pretty cool. So I had to watch this Nintendo presentation multiple times at different speeds, scouring through this thing because of a betting special I did with Easy Allies, where I had to count the number of words that rhyme with Switch and the number of fire flowers and the number of double jumps, and then all the instances of switch that aren't a proper noun. Just I had to go through this thing many times. And I found that this song right here, this tune, the montage track, this right here, this sounds really good at half speed. Listen to this. I can't believe this never occurred to Nintendo to just slow down the track to half speed. Because if they did, if they had played it like this in their actual montage, people would put down $300, no question. Nobody would be worried about the cost of the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo has great vision, don't they? Yes, did you hear that track during their montage? It was sick. Yes, I heard that. I gave them $300 immediately. Me too. They're sold out of pre-orders. I think they are sold out of pre-orders, by the way. This whole point is kind of moot, isn't it? Because it's like, hey, I don't know if it's worth $300. Nintendo's like, we sold out. What does your video mean to me? We sold out. Cute little arguments. Good. We're sold out. We sold as many as we possibly could. So, talk to you next year. Fair point, Nintendo. Fair point. See you next time, everybody.